you have to know absolutely everything about your business, but starting with the numbers to even find out if it's making sense. Came to a point where it was like, okay, well, are you making any money? I called my girlfriend one day and I was like, I think it's something wrong with me. And she said, why? And I said, because when I get home, I don't want to talk to anybody. And you put it all in perspective, like you're giving all day, you're sharing all day, you're being pulled on all day. And so if the business owner does not make time for themselves, you don't have anything to give to anything else. Hi, this is Danielle Marshall, and you are listening to Dreams and Drive.
Hey, Dream Drivers, welcome to this episode of Dreams and Drive, and I am so excited for you all to hear from this week's guest, Danielle Marshall, founder and certified juice therapist. So as a certified juice therapist, Danielle, aka Danie, has a strong passion for the holistic healing of the mind, body, and spirit. After receiving a type 2 pre-diabetes diagnosis in 2011, she began cold press juicing as part of a lifestyle change. As a result, she dropped 60 pounds and was no longer pre-diabetic. Friends and family noticed her weight loss success with juicing and began asking her, hey, make some juices for me. As a result, Danie's Natural Juice Blends was born, and her hope is to really inspire people to enhance their physical, emotional, and spiritual selves through the rejuvenating and transformative power of drinking all natural juices. I'm excited for you all to hear Danie speak about how she was able to do it and share all the wisdom that she's learned along her dream driving journey. For so many of us that are stuck in reverse and neutral right now, I think that this episode is going to really help reignite your own engines and remind you of all that you have within you to get you from feeling stuck and to start putting your own dreams into drive. So make sure you listen to the whole entire episode. If this is your first time listening, please make sure you subscribe so that you get notifications every time we have a new episode. And remember, make sure you're following us on social media. That's on Facebook, X, TikTok, Instagram, everywhere, right? Even LinkedIn. I want to make sure that you are tuned in and that we are really creating community. All right, let's hear from Danie. Hi, Danielle. Welcome to Dreams and Drive. How are you doing today?
I'm wonderful, Raina. How are you?
I'm doing well. As we were chatting earlier, I'm just kind of battling preschool germs that got handed down to me from my toddler. Definitely might have to ask you after this some juices you might recommend for colds because
Absolutely.
I feel like I'm somebody who has a 360-day cold. Like, I don't know. I'm just always like, my nose is always running. And so I'm just like, maybe there's something else going on beyond the cold. I might have an allergy to something and I don't know what it is. So,
That's exactly what I was thinking.
yeah, I really think, you know what it is? It could even be dairy. I should not be eating dairy, but I love ice cream, and that's just the one thing I cannot give up, or I have not chosen to give up yet. So definitely
Well,
need to like really.
dairy is it's very mucus forming. So
Yep, I know. As we were saying, I grew up with a Whole Foods mom, so I definitely know all these things that I should not be doing. But as you know, we adults sometimes have to get forced to making those changes.
yeah.
But I love to start our interviews going back in time, right? And if you could, like, take me to where did you grow up, Danie? Or do you go by Danie or Danielle?
Both are fine.
Okay. So, Danie, take me to Chicago. I've been there once. My friend used to live. She lived there for a year, post college. I do know a little bit about Chicago. So, take me to the 8-year-old Danie. Right? What was inspiring you as a kid, and how did you see the world?
Oh my goodness, not the 8-year-old Danie.
We could do 9 if that's better.
She's pretty much the same, full of life, hope, energy, just very inquisitive. Grew up in a house I always talk about, filled with music,
Mm.
um, music and love. And, we danced a lot. We played a lot of board and word games. Vocabulary and education was really big in my home with my parents. And so we played a lot of games. We danced and listened to all kinds of music. So I want to say I am like sort of in the middle, but I'm the second
Okay.
youngest. So I had siblings ranging from 7 to 10 years older than me. And then there was a period where, it was just me. And then when I was 11, I had a younger sister. So we listened to
Okay.
all genres of music. So, my mom listened to the blues. Then I had three siblings, all kind of within the same age range. So I got to listen to, they would play like the modern R&B. And so, we had gospel. And so there was just all types of music. My father would play jazz. So we danced a lot. We listened to, a lot of music, and that was inspiring to me. And I just liked to move. And so I participated in dance classes and jazz dance, ballet classes, gymnastic classes. So I just like to move. um
Did you have any big dreams as a kid? Like, was there something? I know you ended up being a speech language pathologist, but as a kid, did you think, "Oh, I'm really good at this. Maybe this will be what I am when I grow up."
oh, I wanted to be three things.
Okay, what were
I,
they?
I wanted to be a lawyer because I really wanted to be a civil rights attorney. Um,
That's very specific.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, I was very much inspired by learning about the contributions that African Americans made to society and to the world at large. And so that was one of the things that I wanted to be. I wanted to also be an anthropologist.
Mm.
Um, because that started around about second grade. Just so very interested in learning about different parts of the world, and the difference in the cultures. My culture, versus whatever we were studying in school. And so I wanted to travel and live with other groups of people, and just see how they lived, what their values were, and I wanted to be a teacher.
Ooh, but it's so funny looking at these things, right? Like, I feel like when you become an entrepreneur, you kind of get to be all those things, right? Eventually.
Absolutely.
You got to do a little
Absolutely.
bit of everything, like teaching, what you do with your juicing, anthropology, just understanding why people do what they do, and the lawyer stuff, just making sure you got ish together, right?
Yes.
And no one's taking advantage of you in that way. Okay, so you had these three goals. You ended up, going to school, going to college. How did that pan out? Like, how did you then set on the career that you were doing prior to doing Danie's?
Well, actually, what ended up happening was I gave birth to my son. And
Okay,
around the time I thought he should have been making particular milestones, he was not. I was actually in school for education. Um,
okay.
and
So
after
you were a
taking,
young mom at this point.
I was
Not
21.
teen mom or young mom.
Yeah, I was a young adult, 21.
Okay,
And
okay. That's not too bad.
yeah,
Not saying that it's bad if you were. I'm not taking it out. I thought you were, it wasn't like you were like 14 and you were young. Because I had teenage moms on the show. I just want to make sure I'm making that distinction that you weren't necessarily a teenage mom, right?
no,
Okay, okay.
I was a young adult, and
Okay.
my son, I ended up taking him to the pediatrician with my concerns, and based on my concerns, the pediatrician recommended me to a speech path, who ended up sending out a questionnaire. And based on the questionnaire, I was like, oh my goodness, I'm so interested in this. So I did a little bit more research and found out a little bit more about what speech pathologists actually do. And I was like, oh my goodness, this is such a combination. For me, at first glance, it appeared to be a combination of a teacher and someone in the medical profession. And my father, growing up, always encouraged me to go into healthcare. Uh,
Hmm.
he said people will always be sick. And so, therefore, you will always have a job. And for me, it was like looking at just what the university outline for the job description was. That's what it looked like to me. And so I changed my major and I went on the path to become a speech pathologist.
Isn't it crazy how one thing can lead you down like another road? But it does it feel like it was meant to be in that career that you had? Although, that wasn't the initial thing that you went to school for?
It was absolutely meant to be because it helped develop me in so many ways that have served me, even in what it is that I'm doing right now. And I just want to say, my son, they ended up, after my responses on the questionnaire, not providing any service for him. So, absolutely, it was meant to be an introduction to me into that field.
What do you think you were learning about yourself during this, your early 20s as you were navigating motherhood, navigating trying to figure out, what you wanted to do with this thing called life?
That's a really tough question, because I was a very young wife and mother. I was in college. So, my children saw me, go to work, come home, study until I received my master's degree. So I was very, where perhaps other people my age were out partying, I was trying to build a life. And again, a life, with a partner and with a family. And so I think I was being taught to reach into the strength
Hmm.
that and some discipline and structure.
It's interesting that you mentioned that because so I'm in my early 30s. I have two kids, and it's like I just feel not the weight of motherhood has hit me. You probably understand what I mean, right? But when you're trying to juggle so many things, sometimes you feel like you just can't do it, if that makes any sense, right? But motherhood is not something that you can just, I mean, you can, right? You can be, all right, bye guys. I'll see you in
Right.
a few years. People do choose to walk away, but I think what you mentioned about that inner strength, right? That I think it's this idea that you are capable of doing more than you think you can, right?
Absolutely.
And it's like digging deep and finding the things that keep you going. So at this point for you, what do you think that was? Like the thing that was keeping you going, although you were still trying to build a life and figure things out?
My desire to achieve, my
Mm.
desire to be purposeful, my desire to contribute to society.
Yeah. No, those thank you for sharing that. And at this point in your life, was there any inkling inside that said, I want to be an entrepreneur? I just want to know, like, were you ever thinking about one day maybe starting your own thing, or was that far off, far out of your mind at this point?
Never. I believe that I am an entrepreneur because my whole goal, you know, while I was pursuing my master's degree was that I would start a business.
Hmm.
And I did.
What business did you start?
Well, I had several therapy companies.
Okay, so you were doing your own private practice with your speech pathology.
Correct.
Okay.
And we
Okay.
offer services in the other therapy disciplines as well. So, yes.
Okay. And as, in the healthcare field, right, as an entrepreneur, what were some of your major learnings, right? Because I know as we'll talk about later, when you go into food and you go into like food products, it's a whole different gamut, right? But what were some of the key learnings you were learning about what it takes to be successful as an entrepreneur within healthcare?
Ironically, one of the things that I didn't fully get at that time is that you need a team. I'm so independent. I believe that I'm so capable, and so for me, it was a challenge, and still today can be a challenge for me to have a supportive team in place, which is absolutely necessary. So I think that would be one of the like a lesson that occurred. I had to learn or be faced with over and over.
Yeah, that team building is hard, especially if you want to scale. I think I'm in that part of my business now where it's like you could stay the same, right? But if you really want to grow, you got to trust people and have those processes in place, right?
Yeah,
Um
the other thing that I would say, um, is that being a minority, being a woman, networking was something that was really important, so that I would have help navigating the politics of healthcare. And so that was something that was difficult for me, very, very challenging.
was it the I know some people often tell me that I feel like there are people who are natural networkers, right? Then there are people who are like, I don't want to just have conversations with people to have conversations. Like, what was that difficult part for you?
Well, what you just said it actually. But bigger than that, it was having an understanding of what was really happening behind the scenes with the laws.
mm.
So the not having the information.
It's interesting you talk about the laws, right? Because then you wanted to be a lawyer when you were younger, right? And that connection there.
And
Um,
and and I often thought, even as a speech pathologist, that I should still obtain a degree in law, but
you're never too late. Listen, that's what this whole you could still pursue that if you wanted to.
well, I no longer have that desire. But I will say that, it was something that often crossed my mind. Again, just trying to run a business, manage staff, and then still, be aware of what's required. Am I using the right coding so that when I submit this billing, that I'm being paid so that I can pay others? And so there's a lot when it's just you.
Yeah, there really is. Let's go to 2011, right? You were diagnosed as a pre-diabetic. Talk to me about how it felt and like where you were in your life during this time, your mind state during, after getting this diagnosis.
Every time I'm asked this question, um, you know, I have to pause for a moment because it was really a challenging time for me. Emotionally, I wasn't feeling good about myself.
Yeah.
I had gained so much weight. I was at my heaviest 230 pounds. Um, and so I just didn't have the confidence that, for most of my life that I had. And I felt, the heaviness of, just getting through some of the simpler activities, in my life. I was, working as a speech pathologist, and my focus was more on work than it was on myself or my health. And so I go to the doctor, and I don't have a complaint. It's a routine visit, and I get the scare. And so for me, I call it a scare because diabetes is something that I'm very familiar with, not just in the African American community, but my mother has diabetes. Um, I am working in healthcare, and what I know is that before I go in to meet a new patient, we do a chart review. And so, what I began to notice in the chart review was that the very first, because they are listed in order of occurrence, the very first diagnosis that I would see was diabetes. And after diabetes, then I would see, high blood pressure, cholesterol, congestive heart failure. And so for me, diabetes seems like the beginning of the breakdown of the organs. And so to get that, to be threatened with this, it was a great scare for me. Because again, I, am working with individuals who are losing their vision, working with individuals who have, had to undergo amputation. All of these are direct result of sugar, of diabetes. And So, the other thing is that I went to school for a very long time, still had student loans to pay, in addition to, my other financial responsibilities. And there was a time, when I was a little girl, and I remember watching the news, and on the news, they were doing segments on the high price of medication. And they were interviewing and showing where there were seniors who were on a fixed income and had to make a choice. What would take the place of the money that they would typically use to buy food that now has to be used to buy medication. And so, I never forgot that. And so I always felt like I would never be on any medication. Um, and so for me, it was the threat of, oh, now I'm going to have to be on medication, or I don't want to be in the position where I can't afford to live the life that I feel I deserve to live, that I've created for myself, because I have to pay $500 for one pill, and I need this one pill. And so for me, it was all of those threats, the threat of not being able to perform the way I would like to, which in some sense was already happening, the threat of the breakdown of my entire body, and the threat of losing my money.
That money too, that could, and also being there for your family, right? It's the idea that you
being
might
a
not be
burden.
able to, yeah. Because diabetes is one of those, like, it can affect, I feel like it affects people differently at different rates. And, like, it's a scary disease to actually have. My dad has diabetes. Actually, my mom is pre-diabetic now. And I'm going to make her listen to this episode because I want her to just understand just how bad this can get quickly if, she doesn't get things in order. So what did you decide to do, right? Because when things happen to us, we can either say, all right, we can accept it. And it seems like you were not going to accept it. So what was that plan that you were going to enact in order to start seeing some change?
1 in 8, that's how many people have worked at McDonald's, and where some have continued their career. Where graduates of McDonald's Career Online High School program are now role models leading the next generation. Where aunties, uncles, cousins, and communities learn skills they can use in every aspect of life.
Hi, welcome to McDonald's.
1 in 8 have worked at McDonald's, and where you start stays with you.
Toyota is doing big things, helping grassroots community organizations across the country with its Nudge campaign. The Nudge campaign reflects Toyota's commitment to supporting and furthering the success of those who need it most. A few months ago, Toyota debuted the After the Nudge podcast. The podcast is a 7-episode limited series hosted by acclaimed journalist Soledad O'Brien and former NBA All-Star J.R. Smith. It features conversations with community organizations that Toyota nudged via $10,000 micro grants. We get to find out what happened after the nudge. On the After the Nudge podcast, you'll hear from founders and leaders like Paulana Lamonnier from Black People Will Swim, Dr. Khalid El Hakim from the Black History 101 Mobile Museum, Demetrius Harris from Fly Compton Foundation, and others. Learn how a simple nudge from Toyota helped boost their momentum, amplify their movements, and propel them to greater heights. Look for the Toyota After the Nudge podcast on Toyota.com or wherever you listen to podcasts. Hey Dream Drivers, you all know I've been doing this Mama 2 thing for a few months now, and luckily for me, I can say I've been a Pampers Swallows mama the entire time. It's a full-time job keeping baby happy and healthy, but with Pampers, you can rest assured that you have the diapers on the market for healthy baby skin. Your baby skin is delicate, so it needs extra care and protection. Pampers Swallows also absorbs wetness better versus leading value brand and provides up to 100% leak-proof skin protection to help keep your baby's skin dry and healthy. The fewer things I have to worry about, the better. To really double up on that, you guys must try the new Pampers Free and Gentle wipes for healthy baby skin. Free and Gentle cleans better than Huggies Natural Care. They're 5 times stronger to help prevent tearing during a diaper change. With Free and Gentle, mess meets its match. Pampered Swallers and Pampers Free and Gentle Wipes are also dermatologist approved by the Skin Health Alliance, hyperallergenic, and free of parabens and latex. For trusted protection, trust Pampers, the #1 pediatrician recommended brand. Don't forget to download the Pampers Club app today and earn Pampers Cash. Redeem your Pampers Cash for exclusive Pampers coupons, savings, and rewards.
Well, what the doctor told me was that I needed to lose about 10 or 15 pounds, that would be something that would help me, that would lower my A1C count, and I lost 60. So
Wow.
that's, that's what I decided to do. Again, I just didn't.
How did you do? Was it just like simple, like weight loss, like exercising? Was this when the juicing started?
So the juicing had actually started before that. So I had been introduced to juicing before that. I loved it. It gave me such a powerful feeling of, like, taking control of what I am putting in my body. Like, I know exactly what's in this juice. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I made great combinations, right? And so everything that I made was delicious, and I never felt like I was a really good cook. Um, and I compared myself to my mother, who I think is a great cook. And I was like, I just didn't get that gift, probably because I didn't cultivate it. But I felt like I didn't get that gift. And so I never felt like I was necessarily that good in the kitchen. I have strong, healthy children. They ate, but I didn't feel like it was like what I ate, or as savory, as what I ate. But making these juices, I was the bomb. And so I really, really loved that it gave me an opportunity to just be still. I'm a mover. I'm like constantly in motion.
Mm-hmm.
That 8-year-old girl is still very much alive, and I have, learned to continue to, like, love on her, um, and let her feel safe. But I am always like in motion, and so juicing allowed me to just kind of like sit still, process my thoughts, or not even process any thoughts, and just be in a meditative state, and doing what it is, creating whatever it is that I was creating in the form of, this juice. And so I loved it, but the juicer wasn't mine. And when that ended, I was left without a juicer. And, I kind of just like went on with my life. And
You didn't get
uh,
a new juicer?
I didn't. It's one of those things where I think you're familiar that we meaning people will purchase a juicer, and they'll use it for like 20 days or 30 days, and then they put it back in the box, and then they put it in the closet, and they don't see it anymore. And what ended up happening was, once I moved and I didn't have that juicer, I forgot about it until I
Mm.
got this threat. And so when I got this threat, I was like, oh, okay. I remember how well that worked for me, and so I became more physically active. I thrive with others. And so I joined a gym that had group fitness classes, and I participated in group fitness classes. And I just really changed why I ate. I changed when I ate, I changed how I ate, but the bigger piece was the why, and I incorporated juicing. And so just by being active and with other people, and, I started riding a bike again, one of my most loved activities, and so it just really helped me make the shred.
No, that's really important. Thank you for sharing that. And I feel like you talked about there's so many ups and downs, right? Like the up of juicing, then forgetting about it, then the down of like, all right, I get this diagnosis. You or up again because you're trying to get back your health. You're like, I will not let this conquer me. And then there was a down in 2017 again when you fell into this depression. So talk to me a little bit about that and how this was now the catalyst moment for you to venture off into another lane of entrepreneurship.
Yeah, so I actually, as a speech pathologist, had multiple jobs.
Okay.
As I mentioned, I believe I'm an entrepreneur at heart, and I have found it very difficult to work for others.
I feel like that's a good thing to know about yourself, though, because I feel like there are some people who know that about themselves and then just are in misery for years because they're trying to make it work when it doesn't work.
Yeah. Well, the wonderful thing is that if I did not have my own business, then I contracted my services. And so I had these multiple jobs where I wasn't necessarily on staff. So I would work through an agency or I would consult my services out directly. And so at this point in my life, I actually was at a school and I was working with severe and profound children. And I also was contracting my services out in healthcare and in the medical setting. And what happened was I woke up one day and I didn't have the healthcare positions. And the school that I was at lost their funding. And I didn't have a job.
Hmm.
And and I could not find a job. And again, I always had multiple jobs. Like I had checks coming in weekly.
Like this was new to you. Like, wait, nothing?
This was completely, I couldn't understand what was happening. And one day, I had lost all this weight and it was done publicly. And one day I'm walking down the stairs in the house that I still live in. And I hear a voice that says, give the people what they want. And
Ooh.
what they wanted was help making a transformation because I had started to have women come up to me and ask me, "Can you help me? How did you do what you did?" And I didn't have time to help them. And
Was that your response when they said it, or you just avoided it?
oh no, I was like, I'm so by nature, helping is who I am. Being of service is who I am. And so I wanted to, I just didn't know how to put anything together. And I just didn't have the time because I had these other, work commitments. And so when I found myself without work, it was like, hey, the voice said, give the people what they want, plain as day. That's what I heard. And I knew exactly what that meant. And so I started a women's fitness ministry and I started working women out in the neighborhood park and selling juice. And, I got a group fitness certification and it grew and grew. And that was like, the birth of what's happening now for me.
At this point, did you have any fear? Did you have any thinking? Because sometimes when you venture into a new idea, there are some people who just go full on and don't think of, but what if this fails? Like, what was your mindset after listening to that voice in your head that said, give the people what they want?
I always have some form of fear.
Mm-hmm.
I would be a lie to say that like I live with fear. But I also live with courage and I walk through my fear. I'm fearful about this episode. I was a wreck.
No,
You
why? I'm so harmless, girl. This guy.
look, it has nothing to do with you.
I know,
Um,
I know, I know, no. It's just so interesting when I hear that, right? It's like when you can't understand, but realizing that everybody's entitled to those feelings, right?
Yeah. And I
It's
and I have them and I own them, and I live with them and I do my best to put them in their place. And so you can be present, but you won't paralyze or halt me from moving forward. So, that's what courage is, walking through despite the fear. Um, and so yeah, I had the fear. Like, okay, people, the women are asking, but now are they gonna show up?
did they?
Yes,
Okay.
they showed up so much that I had to bring in partners.
And see, that's the thing. Sometimes when you put that dream into drive, you don't even know. It's kind of like who would have known just how important it was that you put I'm making the metaphor here, like when you put the foot on the gas, right? Like it was so important for you to do that because you were creating this journey for others to now follow behind you in a way, right?
And also, you asked me a question earlier, like, what did I want to be? And one of the other things that I wanted to be was the aerobics instructor. Like, I was the one, in the 80s who, they wore the leotard, and the colorful leg warmers. And that was me. As I mentioned, everything movement, so I made up my own dances. I had my own exercise classes in addition to, like I mentioned, my parents, being in a position to allow me to, participate in formal dance. And, so it was like the little girl in me getting to do something she always really wanted to do, and so yeah, we had workout classes, and and it grew, and like I said, I had to bring in partners, and so I sold juice and workouts.
Dream Drivers, isn't it amazing that we live in a world where you can get anything you need when you need it right to your door? And with DoorDash, you can get pretty much anything. As a mom of two now, and I'm back to work in a 9 to 5 and having to come home to these kids and trying to make time for me too all in one day, I need a service that's going to give me back time and also convenience. Sick at home and can't leave the kids? Get your medication delivered. Socks got wet in the rain on the commute into the office? DoorDash some dry ones to wherever you are. Want to make any hour happy? Because sometimes we just need that, right? Order some alcohol, okay? Can't find your charger? Get another one quick. And lastly, can't do the dishes or just don't want to? With these kids, sometimes I just want to put my feet up and relax. Order in something from restaurants near you. DoorDash, your door to more. Download the DoorDash app now to get almost anything delivered. Must be 21 plus to order alcohol. Drink responsibly. Alcohol available only in select markets. Dream Drivers, we've all been there. You have a question about your credit card, you call the number for help and can't get a hold of anyone. If only you had a Discover card. With 24/7 US-based live customer service from Discover, everyone has the option to talk to a real person anytime, day or night. Yep, you heard that right, a real person. Get the customer service you deserve with Discover. Limitations apply. See terms at discover.com/creditcard. Did y'all know there's a whole collection of Black-led products that fit into your daily routine and lifestyle that you can get at Walmart? And it's so important that we show Black founders some love, not just during Black History Month, but all year long. Because every time we buy a Black-led brand, we're making room or creating demand for another Black-led brand. Black founders and the products they bring to the table are creating a whole new world of choices at Walmart. Some of the products I want to check out are Creamalicious Ice Cream, Partake Cookies, the Lip Bar, Midwest Kids, and the Do Hair Care. Go to walmart.com/Black and Unlimited to discover all the amazing Black-owned products that you can add to your daily routine. So let's talk about the selling the juice part, right? When you were doing this, like, was it kind of like, were you thinking that it was going to grow into something just beyond selling it to the people who are at your workouts? Like, you said you sold juice, right? But like, you have now grown to actually being in stores, like it being much bigger than what it was just that selling juice. So talk to me a little bit about that evolution there and like the key things
Absolutely
you had
not.
to learn about.
Absolutely not. I had no idea it would grow into this.
Most
Um,
people don't, right? But if you do, if you did know, would you have started, right? Because there
yeah,
might have been ups and downs and so much stuff, right?
and I'm not sure that I would have, because although I had lost the passion, and speech pathology is a very, very rewarded and needed profession,
It
and
is.
deserves respect. However, I had lost my personal passion some time ago, and so but I would tell myself, I remember having a conversation with a girlfriend saying, but I don't know what else I can do. I don't know if I can do
Your
anything.
identity was so wrapped up in being that you didn't
Yeah,
see anything beyond it.
I
Mm.
didn't. I didn't. And so, um, what ended up happening, was it got bigger and it got bigger. And the pandemic came. And once the, pandemic came, things kind of shifted. And so, those co-workers who were, purchasing my juices as, light meal replacement or, healthy snacks, or they were doing juice cleanses. Now we're more so focused on the real benefits of it, of boosting and building and protecting your immune system. And so, they started telling their friends, you got to get some juice, and so it just got bigger. And, I met a gentleman who became my partner, who started going to get produce. And
Partner
he,
as in juice partner or partner as in life partner? In a way. I just want to make
like,
sure I made that. Okay. I just want to make sure I made the distinction there. Okay.
and so he met a young lady, and he was like, he brought her card back and was like, you should call her. I think we can collaborate. And I was like, yeah, whatever. Don't be bringing me no woman card.
Why are you talking to this lady, right?
Right. And why you bringing me her info? And so I never followed through. And about a year later, I finally went with him to get produce because he wouldn't let me go with him. And so finally I went with him and he was like, there's the lady. And he hadn't seen her since the initial time he met her. And as it turned out, she was like, hey, can you come do a farmer's market? She managed a farmer's market, is in the process of opening up a grocery store in a food desert. And that was like the beginning, because from that one farmer's market, 3 years later, we're participating in 9, farmers markets throughout the Chicagoland area. From that one farmers market, that very first one, we, acquired our first retail account, like having our juice actually in a store. Um, and so, from that, that one farmers market, I've met so many people who inspire me, who love on me, who give back to me, and who value what we give them. Our product, our all natural cold pressed juices, and so it's just been a whirlwind. It's been
So,
a whirlwind.
it's just so interesting. I kid you not. Everybody who's been on the show, well, most people, I should say, there's always this like surprise moment where if they didn't like that, it's like this magical moment, right? Like, what are the odds that the day that you finally went with him to the farmer's market is when you re-met when you see this lady again and you kind of are really just put one to this new path, right? Like, there's always this magical moment that a lot of our guests share. Talk to me, Danie, about the challenges though, right? Building a juice brand, teaching the benefits of why juicing is important. Like, what were some of the things that were hurdles that could have knocked you down but didn't, because you're still here, right?
Mhm. There are a lot of challenges still facing them. We are not like smooth coasting, down the lake on our kayak. It is a grind. It is a challenge. Some days it is a struggle. Some of the biggest are, in order for I want Danie's to be a household name.
It will
And
be.
in
I-
order
it's
in
going
order
to be.
in order for that to happen, people have to know who we are. So, I can say this like, with full confidence. Once you try our juices, you'll be back. So, I don't have a problem with loving, what God has allowed me to create. It's delicious, it's low calorie, it's so good for your body. If you're not trying to cleanse, if you're not trying to boost your immune system, if you're not trying to drop weight, if you're not trying to work on, some disease process, whether it be cholesterol, diabetes, or whether it be high blood pressure, they're just delicious. But
Yeah.
the fact of the matter is, you're going to get the benefit to help address all those things. If you're not like worried about your energy levels, we just make really good juice. So if you have our product, I fully believe we will see you again. The challenge has been in making sure you see us again.
Yeah, and also just the competing. I feel like with juices, right? I think it's also an educational thing for people who may not understand. Like, why am I paying this amount for, this
Oh,
juice? Like, why is it cold pressed versus just, I mean, I don't know what the opposite of it, but there are just some people who just don't understand the
that's
cost
a part
factor
of
as
what we
well,
do.
right?
Absolutely. And that's part of what we do in terms of educating what, like you just said, what is cold press? Well, uh, we explain to you cold press is the method of extracting the nutrients from the produce without heat. Why is that important? Because heat kills the enzymes, it destroys the enzymes. Well, who cares about enzymes? Well, your body does, because that's what allows your body to actually absorb the nutrients.
Yeah.
So that's part of our education for every person that we meet. One of the first questions I ask is, do you know what cold pressed juice is? Now, I don't go into on a personal level on a one-to-one with customers about why it costs, but on our social media, we'll make posts and, we'll talk about the process itself, meaning that it is pressed. It is not masticated. It's not centrifugal. So those are the different methods or juice types that you can purchase. And so to have a masticating juicer, yeah, you can get one of those for $59, $69, $79. But
That's
what's
probably
going to
the one I got.
what's going to be the quality of your juice? And I'm not
Yeah,
saying
and there's so much waste, and I'm just like, oh, this is. It makes you not want to do it again. I'm like, this is too much. Like, I
so
can't
that's
do
why
this.
we say, let us juice for you. And I'm not saying that you shouldn't do it. I'm just saying that there's a difference in the quality in cold press juicing versus what most people would have at home with the masticating juicers. And so, yeah, there's a lot of cost involved in have a high quality product, which we do. You're going to pay for it, but we pay uh, if you are a health conscious person, you understand that your worth can't be determined by the price of something. Like you are valuable enough to put the best in your body. You do that with other things, and so you do it with the clothing you wear. So why not do it with what you really put in your body to make you look good when you put that clothing on? Why not do that so that you feel good about your body, so that your body feels good? So when you are in that level of consciousness, then you can understand why this product costs what it costs versus this product. Well, it's a better product and you're worth it.
Yeah, and I want to also go back to what you were saying about getting the word out there too, because I think that's just something that a lot of people can relate to. Is like you have this product, it's good, it can change people's life, but it's like, what can I do to get more people to know about it? I even feel like that with this show, right? Like sometimes I'm like, Raina, you're a great interviewer. These people that you have on the show have such great stories. How can you get more people to know about it? What were some of the things that were working for you? I know that you also were like local to Chicago. Like, how were you getting people to?
Networking, network,
Okay,
networking, which is as much as I'm an extrovert, which is not my strongest suit, but building relationships with people and organizations who share values and missions. So we've been blessed to, partner with Blue Cross and Blue Shield. They have the capacity to reach way more people than we could. And so we'll
what
partner
kind
with,
of partnership was that?
so Blue Cross Blue Shield will come to us and say, hey, we are having a health and wellness fair. Can you come out and do a juicing demo?
Oh
Uh,
wow.
they'll come to us and say, hey, we're having another a fitness event. Can you bring some juices and some literature about the benefits of juicing? And so, we've been blessed to partner with organizations like that who have a far greater reach. and so it allows us to live in our mission, which is education.
Yeah, and then too, Danie, like when it comes to the food-based business as well, where there's some things that are very specific to if you're running a food-based a foodpreneur, right? I would say you're a foodpreneur. That's how I categorize it in my head, right? Like, were there also things that you think are very specific to people who want to grow food-based businesses that they also need to be keeping in mind as they're growing, as they're getting promotion?
One of the things is like when I started this, I didn't really have a strong understanding of my numbers.
Okay.
And so for me, I would take, and I still have to take everything, back to the beginning. How much does this cost me? This 50-pound bag of carrots. What's going to be the real profit for me once I include all these ingredients, once I include all of the packaging, all of the labeling. So for me, it is really understanding your business from a number standpoint. Now, you you have to know absolutely everything about your business, but starting with the numbers to even find out if it's making sense, because for me, this was something that started from my heart. This was something that started because I wanted to be of service and to help you do what you asked me to help you do, and so it came to a point where it was like, okay, well, are you making any money?
Yeah. Because it's like you still have a life to live, right? You still want to live in your
Exactly.
home. You still
Yeah.
have to, well, your kids are probably grown by now, right? You don't have to take care of them
Yeah, but
100%,
kids,
but they
kids
still
still,
need you.
kids still come back and say, "Mama, you got $50."
Right?
So it doesn't matter how old you are. So for me, it's like, yeah, living in my purpose and doing something that I'm so passionate about, and I love it, and all of that was good. And then it was like, okay, but are you making any money? And for me, a tip would be making sure that you really understand your profit margins, that you are networking, that your network includes mentorship, whether you are paying for it, but there are so many organizations out here that are helping small businesses scale, and that are helping small businesses prepare to scale by really understanding your business. So just making sure that you're educating yourself about your business.
Were you still running your speech pathology at this point, or are you now 100% focusing on the juice business?
When COVID hit, I had finally realized that two jobs are compatible. And so I had recently let go of a second job and I was working one full-time job. And what happened was we were working virtually. And once the world opened back up and they said we can come back, I was like, I'm not going back.
Mm. That makes sense. So you had like no. It's funny because I forgot which guest told me this. They were like sometimes having. Oh, I remember now. Do you watch Power? Do you
Yes.
know like I had what's his name, Joseph. I forgot his last name, but Tommy, right? The character
Oh, I
Tommy.
love Tommy.
Yeah, I had him on the show, and he had told me he's like sometimes having a plan B could mess up your plan A, right? Because you're not
Hmm.
100% focused on the plan A. You're thinking
Hmm.
about, all right, plan A don't work out, plan B. So for you, it's like you knew that you only had this juice business. Now you had to go kind of full frontal with it, right?
Yeah.
Or full on.
Yeah. I mean, at that point, we had, built to where we had recurring customers. And I was just ready to take a chance. I was
Yeah.
ready to take a chance, having again, a passion for what I do, feeling like I was fully living in my purpose. There's no coincidence that I was without work and that the voice told me to give the people what they want. It was time for me to transition into another purpose, another divine purpose. And I believe that fully. So
Mm.
I had to take the dive.
As we wind down, right? I don't want to make this a somber note or a sad note, but I think it's something that's very real, because there might be somebody listening to this who's like, all right, Danie, I love your story. All right, Danie, like, okay, good for you. But they're like, I'm not at this point yet. I feel fearful of what if I try to put my own dream into drive, right? And I know fear is something that you've talked about. I watched one of your episodes on your website, right, where you were talking about this idea of fear and how that can hold a lot of people back. Talk to me about your position or fear now, and how it's something that we all face, right? That idea of fear, doubt. How do you attack when fear comes in and tries to put you into, reverse or neutral along your journey?
I usually talk to someone. A having a strong and supportive team is really paramount, for a business owner. Not just, the people who help you, not just your staff, not just the people who prep, the produce, although they are very, very valuable. Not just the mentor who really helps me take a look at the numbers and marketing strategies, not just the people who help with the social media, but a confidant, you know, whether it be a therapist or a good girlfriend. Like, I usually expose my fear, um, by saying to someone, this is what I am feeling, this is what I'm thinking. And for me, having a safe space to talk about, um, the whether it is real, whether it's imagined, because sometimes we fear things that make no sense. It's like, where did that thought even come from?
Right? It's like, sometimes they say fear is like worrying about things that haven't happened yet, right?
And some of it, it's like so plausible, but and then some of it is like, yeah, that probably will never happen. But really talking through to the point of facing what happens if the fear happens, if what you're fearing actually manifests, then what? are you
Yeah.
are you gonna die then?
It's like
I
you
mean,
still, bad
and I've
things can
started.
happen, but they don't have to root like
It doesn't have to be the end. I've started
yeah.
over so many times, so for me, it's really walking through or playing the entire tape out of, is this is this fear bounded in some form of sanity? And even if it is, what happens if what you're fearing actually occurs?
Yeah.
So, what will be the plan then? And again, just kind of having the courage to walk through it. And that courage really comes from the relationship that you have with yourself, and who you believe as the orchestrator of this world.
Yeah, and it's a good thing that you mentioned that, because I want to quickly just go back to how this all started. Was you listening to that voice in your head, right? Or that higher calling, that not higher being, right? That guided you to start. Why is it so important that we have that confidence and we have that courage, and that we listen to ourselves and we get these messages, right? So I think that's really the key to a lot of things. We have so many ideas. We know what we want to do, but like sometimes there's this, we could be our biggest things holding ourselves back, right?
Because everything is already inside of us.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why it's important, because we can listen to, and don't get me wrong, I am open to advice, because I also understand that voice speaks through other people. However, being in tune and in alignment with your true self, your higher self, will ultimately lead you where you're supposed to go. And sometimes, again, we need help, having the courage to find that inner voice, to find your inner self, to find your higher self. There are things that I do, to help me,
What do you
make,
do? Share it. We want to do it too.
maintain that connection. I meditate. I wake up in the morning and I have a couple of beverages. I have
One of
water.
your juices, right?
I have water. I have usually I have a turmeric shot. So
Okay.
I have some turmeric, some ginger, I have coffee. Like right now, I'm drinking juice. I just finished working out, so I got some beet juice that I'm drinking, and I pray and I meditate. And meditation can look different for different people because it looks different for me day to day.
Yeah.
But I meditate and I set a focus and intention for like what I want my day to look like, and I try to stay rooted in that, throughout my day. So,
I love that you shared that because I just feel like some of us don't prioritize that self care practice, realizing like that's the fuel that's going to keep you going throughout this journey because there's going to be a lot of things thrown at you. And like I
all
always
day.
say, right? And it's not even like I love having guests from all different walks of life, all different types of businesses. Like you can figure out the nitty gritty of how to run a juice business, right? But like if you can't figure out yourself, then you're gonna have a hard time running the business. Does that make sense?
It makes 100% sense. A lot of times we're looking at all these other risks that our business may incur, but we never consider that the owner may be the risk.
Mm-hmm.
And so it is very important to have that connection with yourself. It is very important to have time for yourself. You heard me say that, I am an extrovert. You heard me say I'm infused by meeting and being around other people. And one of the biggest things that I have learned about myself in these past 4 years is that I really am okay being alone.
Mm. And why
Now,
was that? Why is that so important to your journey?
because I was the one who never went shopping alone. I never went to the movies alone. I never sat and ate dinner alone. I was always with people and I always wanted to be with people. But when you invest so much of your energy, so much of your time, so much of your thinking into one thing, and for me, it was this one thing is, growing, scaling, expanding this business, talking to people all day, educating people all day. I have people who call me. I do consultations. So I'm giving, all day. And I called my girlfriend one day and I was like, I think it's something wrong with me. And she said, why? And I said, because when I get home, I don't want to talk to anybody. And
Wow.
you put it all in perspective, like you're giving all day, you're sharing all day, you're being pulled on all day. And so if the business owner does not make time for themselves, you don't have anything to give to anything else.
Yeah, it's like that. You need to recharge, right? That
Yeah,
recharge is essential. It's so funny, right? Maybe I need to add in the segment for electric cars. We are electric cars. We need to have that recharge moment, right?
absolutely are. We are energy.
Yep.
Electricity is a form of energy.
So, Danie, right? Tell our dream drivers where, I know that people who listen to this show are all over the country, all over the world, right? If they want to experience the Danie's Natural Juice Blends experience, where can they find you? Where can they connect with you more on social, all that good stuff?
If you are outside of Chicago, and even if you are in Chicago, you can purchase online and you will receive a frozen product. So don't worry about that. When you get it, it'll be frozen and you can keep it frozen up to a year, or you can put it in your refrigerator and let it thaw. Once it thaws, it has a 7-day shelf life. And I say all that because you can go online at www.daniesjuice.com, and Danie is spelled Danie. So again, that's www.daniesjuice.com, and you can place your order. You can order individual juices. You can order juice cleanses. You can even sign up for our monthly subscription and have your juices delivered or shipped to you on a monthly basis. You can also find us if you are in the Chicagoland area at Mariano's. We will be at the Juice Bar. Or in just a couple of months, when summertime comes, summertime shy, we participate in a lot of different farmers markets. And you can find all of those farmers market locations again on our website at www.daniesjuice.com.
Thank you so much for sharing that. I'm about to go online and order some juices myself, because it's like, I know it's so funny that this podcast is called Dreams and Drive, right? And it's like, we have to maintain our vehicles, and our vehicles are ourselves. And if we want to be around longer, if we want to make sure that we're operating at the most optimal health, investing in your health is so important. So I'm definitely going to be checking out your juices, Danie. And I just want to say thank you so much for coming on and sharing your story. I know you're a little bit nervous, but listen, I think that the people listening in today are going to really be inspired and just motivated to keep pursuing their own dreams after hearing your story.
We got to keep the dreams and drive.
Yes, most definitely. Thank you so much, Danie.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Sorry, this little one, he's like, I want to join the party now. You probably heard
do
him.
not apologize. It's soothing to hear him.
You know what's funny too, and that's also just a part of, and I'll keep this going for the actual recording because I think it's important. I think sometimes we could think like, oh, I have this obstacle, I can't do something. And for a long time, I'm like, oh, I have a new baby, I can't get back into being consistent. I have this job that I have to start back, I can't get back into being consistent. But you'll make things work, right? Like, you'll make things work if you want to make things work. And there are ways to make things happen. And you know what? Some of my podcast recording, you might hear a baby laughing in the background, but that's okay.
Because you are a mother.
Yeah, and that I'm trying to keep it real and let people know, if you're a mom, new mom too, like, you can still make those dreams come alive. It just might look different, and it might sound different.
And it will look different, and it will sound different, because it is different, but it is a part of the process.
Yeah, and I just, giving us back that power, because society will want you to sit down for a long time and like, listen, I still got things to make happen for myself. So I just want to say thank you personally as well, just hearing your story and how you were able to do it and how you had these career changes, and just listen to those voices. I think that's really encouraging as well for my own journey. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you again.
All right, so I have everything that I need. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Hopefully you feel at ease
did.
now. I told you it would feel like we're just girlfriends chit-chatting, right? Like, it was really fun to just talk to you. So I definitely would love to stay in touch. I'll go ahead and just follow you from both the Dreams and Drive handle and my personal one. If there's ever any way that I can be of help, if you're ever in the New York City area, I don't know, if you ever do a farmer's market over here, please do reach out, and would love to connect.
But I will reciprocate and follow you back. Blessings to you. Thank you so much.
All right, so that's the wrap for this episode of Dreams and Drive. I hope you enjoyed our guest dream driving journey, as well as listening to their keys to success. If you love this episode, you know what to do. Please make sure that you are following us. We are at Dreams and Drive across social media on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. So make sure you're sharing this episode, posting it to your Instagram stories, texting it to a friend, sharing on LinkedIn, wherever you are online. Just pay this forward and share this with somebody. We really appreciate it. And all the sharing that you do helps us grow our community. If you want to join our email newsletter, The Keys, and get weekly updates delivered to your inbox, just go to dreamsanddrive.com/join. That's dreamsanddrive.com/join. And lastly, if you know somebody who would be great for this show, or if you are someone who would be great for this show, please go to dreamsanddrive.com/pitch. I'm always accepting new guests. I'm always accepting new pitches. So I love to see those pitch requests coming in. Keep dreaming, keep driving, and we'll chat again in the next episode. Bye, guys.